Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Thank you for stopping by. My name is Khalil. This afternoon, I'm going to take you on a little journey. I would like to show you a vision and reality of what I think tomorrow's warehouse will look like. Okay? There's a lot of talk now about the future of e-commerce and where we go as a sector, as an industry. And I want to take you on a little journey. Everyone's worried about this bit. We don't think they're taking over, really. And I'll tell you a bit about why we are. So I'm going to share some thoughts with you. I want you to use your imagination a little bit. Imagine a warehouse, space like you know it, which has been designed with a consumer in mind. Not the item, the consumer who's buying the item. And all the design and all the processes are driven by AI. That's a dirty word these days, isn't it, AI? Everyone's a bit worried about it. But also, where humans and robots work side by side. Not in competition, but in tandem. Now, this warehouse, imagine that it was supported by a system, call it a WMS, OMS, whatever you want to call it, that seamlessly connects to web shops, which is where we get orders from. That's the source of warehouse input. But doesn't just connect to the web shops. It learns from every single order that it processes. Every order that comes through becomes a learning opportunity. But also allows your client to directly influence what happens in the warehouse. And then imagine that all the stock is received and available to sell within hours. Hours from when it arrives at the door to when it's live for sale. The storage is dynamic, and the storage locations are positioned resourcefully. Someone's competing with me, aren't they, from over there? Never mind, we'll keep going. Where all the stock is held, dust-free, but is up to 6 times more efficient than traditional pallet storage. 6 times, remember that. And where your storage autonomously manages seasonality. So it puts your stock where it knows you're going to need it from. So when you come to process that stock, you're traveling the shortest distance possible. Think about a system that cleverly creates your cartons. So your cartons aren't the wrong size. They're the right size for the product that goes inside. And these cartons aren't moved around by space-hungry conveyor belts. They're shifted by nifty little robots that know exactly where to take the carton, exactly when it's needed. And then imagine that the orders were very slickly sequenced. So at the exact time, the picker has to pick the item. The carton that they're picking the item to is presented at that exact moment. Right away. And then imagine that you could send cartons out with 0 void fill, nothing inside, and they would still arrive pristine and undamaged. Or that you could take a photograph of the order before you close the box, and you could send that photograph with your branding to the consumer at home to say, your order is ready, it's on its way. Imagine the engagement with your consumer if you could do that. Imagine if you didn't have a postage label. You didn't have to stick anything on the box. And you could print your postage label, but then for fun, just because you were printing your postage label, You could also print advertising on top of your carton. And then imagine I said to you that you could scale your volumes however you wanted with no risk of resource not being available, because the resource capability is latent. It's there. And then all of this was delivered using a sustainable mindset, where we do everything as cleanly as we could. And then finally, imagine if every single line of your rate card was variable. No minimum commitments. No fixed monthly fees. Everything only paid for as you use it. And imagine that all of this you could see yourself by just logging onto a web page. You could see how much stock you have, where we've shipped it. You could design up to 30 reports that would tell you geography of where you've shipped everything. And what if I said to you, that sounds a bit like a tall tale, sounds like something that hasn't happened yet. Sounds quite far in the future, doesn't it? What if I told you it's here now? Everything you've seen right now. At Active Ants in Northampton. It's a small vision I wanted to share with you. I'll share this video now, and then I'll stop speaking. Thank you. I'm finished. So I have, how many minutes do we have left? 1? I didn't go on for that long. I'll take questions now. There's a lady there walking around with a mic. Anything you want to ask me about what you've just seen? Any questions you had come in here? Happy to answer them. Happy to have a discussion. So always, there's one here, there's one there. I'll come this way so I can hear the question. Nah, you're all right.
Hello, is that working?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, which product categories are you geared up to do? Is this fashion or electronics, or can it be anything?
So I'm not sure if you heard the question. The question is, what product categories are we geared up to do? The beauty of what you've just seen is that the product category is almost irrelevant. So long as the item's legal and doesn't spill or isn't spherical, and I'll explain that in a minute, then it doesn't matter. Because an intricate part of the design is that it has to be multi-user. So the processes you've just seen don't really depend on what's being picked or packed or shipped. So long as the right information is put in at the start. Our storage system will happily store clothing. It'll happily store small electrics, cosmetics, dry food, seasonal products, anything. So long as the size of the item allows us to store it in a decent quantity by location, doesn't matter what it is. Yeah? I didn't hear that. Sorry, I only heard cardboard boxes.
Yeah, do you always use the cardboard boxes?
Yes.
For the, yeah, so
Yes.
there's no poly bags or...
No. No, we don't like bags. Oh, there's one here. One here.
Do you do any kitting?
Any what, sorry?
Kitting, marrying?
Yes,
Yes.
we can do kitting, but the kitting process is intricately manual, so that sits outside of this. So the kitting would happen before the finished kit product would then get injected into the process you've seen. So the kitting does happen, but before.
And can you use your own boxes, or does it have to be your standard box sizes?
No, we can use our own boxes. We have a combination of both. I think I need to just say something here. There's a misconception that automation hampers you. It only hampers you if you allow it to. So if you use automation, and I have to make a distinction also, by the way, there's a very, very clear distinction between automation and mechanization. Very often people think you stick a conveyor belt in and you've automated. You haven't. You've mechanized. The conveyor belt can't think for itself. You've mechanized, you've made it better, but you haven't automated. Automation doesn't restrict you. It's a tool. You have to use it for what you need to use it for. So to answer your question directly, we can use either the client's cardboard or our own cardboard. It's just about how we write the process and how it flows through the automation. Any more questions? Oh, there's one here.
How about products that need to be refrigerated? Are you able to receive products that need to be refrigerated?
Yes, is the short answer. The temperature controlled bit is usually a part of the storage system. And so there are rules that will be written. So boxes that need temperature control are held in the temperature controlled areas, yeah. This is getting warm now. I'm enjoying this. Any more? Anyone else? How much time have we got? We have 10 minutes. Okay. I won't do a set, don't worry. Just keep the questions coming. Any more questions? Oh, there's one here. One here.
Well, we sell a lot of like vases and potteries.
Yeah.
How would that work then if there's like no packaging inside?
So,
It's very fragile.
what you've described is what we would class as fragile. The storage of your product is the same as what you've seen. There's a sub-process where the fragile items are picked autonomously, but before packing, they're presented to a desk to get protected. Bubble wrap, whatever it is that you decide to protect it with, and then they're taken back around. But that's only if the items need it.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Hey, look, we're warming up.
Hiya.
Hello.
What's the maximum size that you can store?
What, product size?
Yeah, product size.
Right, so the storage medium is a plastic box that's 600 by 300 by 400. So anything that fits in there. So longest would be, I would say, 580, something like that. And if you want a decent quantity, anything 2 and above works.
And also weight requirements as well.
30 kilograms per box. So if the item is under that, then we'll work out how many we can get in the box. The boxes are they're stacked on a grid. So they're stacked from ground level 16 high in an aluminium grid. So in a very small area, we can hold up to 60,000 of these boxes in about 25,000 square foot. And then the robots run along an aluminium grid on the top, and they have to attach a pad to the box and lift them. So the box has to maintain its shape all the time, and they can lift up to 30 kilograms at a time. So, yeah. Anyone? Oh, you've got another one.
From Germany, for the carriage rates, do you pass on negotiated carriage rates for all your consumers, or do people have individual carriage rates per customer?
So we calculate individual carriage rates per customer, but the carriage rates are typically determined by your volume. So the more you ship, the more competitive your rate is. But we buy consolidated carriage rates. And we leverage all the volume across the group to buy our rates. So we're very competitive, and all our clients get the benefit of that. And that's across 5 sites in the continent. So UK, 2 in the Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. There's one there.
So how do you manage the competitive insight? Like, you know, there's so many people who are probably there next to you.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? You know, do you, like, it's probably, how do you decide on your pricing, and how do you position your product in front of it?
Okay, so there's 2 parts to that question. There's the product and the pricing. With pricing, we don't claim to be the cheapest. We also won't be the most expensive. We'll be the most reliable and the most value for money. A lot of the clients that decide to work with us are looking for 2 things. They're looking for accuracy. And with accuracy, I'm talking about 1 in every 2 million, 1 mistake in every 2 million parcels. 1 out of 2 million. And they're also looking for speed. Okay? So typically, with next day deliveries, you tend to have cut-offs of around about 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, usually. We can go till about 11, because the system will pool the orders, and they make us more efficient in how we pack them. It doesn't necessarily run around doing things all the time. It batches the orders up. And it has a certain number of orders it processes most efficiently in an hour, and then it goes off and does that. Okay, so if that number hasn't been hit, it's doing nothing. It doesn't run just because it needs to. The product in itself, the pricing, I talked about pricing. The product, you've walked around today. The kit that you see, the hardware, we didn't make the hardware. We didn't design the hardware. We just bought it off the shelf. Our USB, it's the software that runs all of it. That's the difference. So you can go and buy the storage medium I've told you about. You can buy the bots that you've seen, but you couldn't make them work the way we make them work, and that's the product. Yeah? Any more? Hey, I'm enjoying this now. I think the mic's off. Has it gone off?
Run out of battery.
Yeah,
Oh, no, it's not. There we are. How far do you think your system can then go in the future as well? So do you think it's a system that you can carry on building on, or do you think it's kind of a case of a new system every so many years?
So our system is in-house. We employ a huge team of developers to keep working on it. We started with it in 2010, and it's still going, but it's evolving. The thing about innovating is you can't stop, because everyone will catch up. So the minute you implement an innovation, you have to be thinking of the next one. You have to be thinking of what's next, what's coming next. And so our system gets updated, I think it's once every day. There's something new coming out. And across the 5 sites, no one site can implement a change unless it's good for all 5. So you have an idea, it goes into the center, it gets tested, scoped, designed, and then implemented only if it benefits all 5. And that's how we keep ourselves at the front of what we're doing. We're constantly thinking about what's coming next. But because the system's written by us, how quickly we develop it is down to us. It's not an off-the-shelf system, so. Okay? Yeah, we got more time? Any more questions? Don't ask a question. That's one of my colleagues about to ask me a question. That's the definition of corporate heckling. Any more? We're on stand M72 if you want to come and talk some more. You don't have to ask your questions here. We're just over there. Just look for that. If there aren't any more questions, I'll. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.